Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody out there. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF. It is June 14th, 2024. Happy Flag Day, everybody. And this is the first of a couple of overseas versions of Real Estate Talk TGIF. I happen to be situated in the middle of the City of Lights, known as Paris, France. And Chris Tarta is in Wyckoff, New Jersey. So we are a 6 hour difference. It is 5 p.m. here. It is 11 a.m. in the United States. Chris, thanks so much for coming on today.
It's my pleasure, Dave, and I thank you for having me and inviting me. It means a lot to me that you asked me to be on, and I definitely want to shout you out for continuing your consecutive shows from Europe as you're on vacation, man. This shows dedication, so thanks for doing it.
Dude, thank you so much. This is episode number 315, as you said, consecutive shows, 311 weeks in a row. and Chris, you are just on the edge of 6 years. Next week will be 6 years. And we have a special guest every time we do that. It's the same guest. We'll talk about him later. But Chris, thanks so much for coming. You know what? You've been an entrepreneur, you've been a chef, but you know what? Let's go to the videotape and then we'll talk about that. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. You know, what a great day. What a great, I don't know, you can see the backdrop here of what I got behind me. That's actually outside my window. And it's such a beautiful place, but it is extremely crowded, and traffic is worse here than back home. The Olympics start here in less than a month, and I don't know how they're doing it, but you know what? Most people are actually leaving the city, like they did, Chris, for the Super Bowl when we had it back many years ago. Anyway, Chris Tarta, you are been in real estate for a number of years. You started out your entrepreneurial career as a chef and owning and operating a couple of restaurants. You've done well for yourself. You are to my I get to work with you every week, right? Almost every day, and we get to see each other now. And everybody, you will notice that the name under his name is very similar to the name under my name. That's because we work with the same group, one of the largest teams in EXP. And this is not an EXP broadcast, nor is it anything about EXP. It's about how we collaborate, about what we do. This broadcast is brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder, not the Align team. Real Estate Skill Builder helps agents with client acquisition and advance their businesses. Chris, talk to me about you. But first, before we start, there is a question I have to ask. Can I ask everybody? And that question is, what does TGIF stand for?
Thank God it's Friday.
You are so close, Chris. You know what? I hate to tell you.
Thank God it's finale.
There you go. You know what? The second guess has worked.
All right.
Finale. My broadcast, my show, 311 weeks in a row. I can do something for me. Anyway,
sure.
Chris, you started your entrepreneurial life as a chef, as a restaurant owner. You went to college for different things, and talk to me about your journey. Like you've done well in this business. We get to work with each other on a regular basis, so I get to know some of your ins and outs, and that's something you want to share and help people with, because it's the daily routine. Not only being a top producer, because top producers do very well, and most top producers, especially in our area, don't want to tell anybody what they do. They don't really want to give people the time of day. I'm sorry if you're one of those. Too bad. It's true. But Chris, you have a great story. You've got great mindset things to help people with. So let's start with, how'd you get into real estate? But where did you start in your young years?
So I'll get to the real estate transition in a minute. I mean, look, I was a kid without much clear direction on a career, like most kids, and I went to college because it was normal protocol, right? My family, my father's side, doctors and lawyers, highly educated. My mother's side was a lot of blue collar people, but I chose college. I gave it a whirl for about a year, and quickly myself and the universities agreed it wasn't a great relationship. So I left there, and I got a job in a restaurant. I got a job in a local restaurant, and I was working there, and I loved it. I loved the adrenaline, the speed, the chaos. It's something that's like I kind of thrive in those situations.
Right.
So I decided culinary school was the way to go, and I went to Johnson and Wales in Providence, Rhode Island, and learned culinary. And I left there and became a chef. I had a one quick stint at a restaurant, and I got a job at a second restaurant. I was there. I was the sous chef for a number of years, probably about 2 years, and the owner was trying to sell. He was going to sell, and he came to the staff and told us. And like I told you, Dave, this is probably the first deal I made because I kind of convinced him to sell it to me on a wish and a prayer. And we made that deal very creatively, got that done. And I took over the restaurant that I was working at. And I was really young. I was 22. Had no real business operation experience, had lots of work experience. I knew this particular restaurant and the staff very well. And I had a great run there. I think 16, 17 years we were there. And, honed kind of customer service, honed our menu and stuff, got the staff working. But around year 10, I opened a second one in Ridgewood, New Jersey. So there was about a 5 or 6 year period when I had two restaurants running, 30 employees. It was really, and if you know anything about the restaurant business, it's blood money. It's hard work. It's you work when the rest of the world is off. And it did not play a healthy role in my life eventually, especially once you get married and start having children. And then you're working on Mother's Day and Valentine's Day and Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. Those things put a pressure on you that doesn't have monetary value. Because if I was making about 10 times the money I was making, I could have stuck it out for 10 more years. I never got to the level to be where I was just the owner in the suit walking around in front and having it operating at a high level. They were operating, they were great. I was making money, but I was really forgoing my personal life and my personal health and mental health and all that stuff. So I had an investment property. We had a 2-family property, and we went through 2008. We got a little bit past that. My wife and I had a baby. Then we had a second baby. It was time for us to move. So I hired a realtor to sell my house. I had been exposed to the industry growing up because my father was a real estate attorney. I would help him make files in his office for a few bucks or, whatever. And I understood what attorney review was, kind of the process a little bit. And once we sold that house after a beat down on the price, we ended up with 2 homes for 9 months. My house sat on the market, had to hire another realtor. And then I went to the closing and I saw the commission check that I was paying. And I said, man, let me give this a shot. I saw the bright lights. I saw the shiny stars, right? That's what you see on TV, on Bravo and stuff. It makes it look simple.
It does.
But I wanted a way out of the restaurant business. I was the last one at that party. My passion was gone. And the last one at the party is never the good spot to be. So I knew that it was time for a change. So I got my license, still kept my restaurants. I would work open houses on the weekends. I would do showings in the mornings before I had to get to the restaurant. And I kind of made a slow transition over a year. The first year was a nightmare for me because I only saw the bright lights. I only saw the commission checks. I didn't know what really went into it. And I was not surrounded by the right people. I joined a team and they really weren't kind of helping me flourish or teaching me. I was a showing agent more or less. And it was not the right place for me to grow. And that first year, I basically burned through savings and made no money and got to a point where the pressure was on again. And that was a point in my life where I said, you know what, I have to kind of put the blinders on. I said, this is going to work. I don't know how yet, but this is going to work. And the funny thing is, I went out to dinner with my kids. My wife was away for a business trip. And I ran into a kid I went to high school with. You're going to know him, Dave. His name was Dave DeVoe. Ran into him at this restaurant out of the blue. And we were talking. And he asked me what I was doing. And he had his team, a bunch of talks and stuff. We had some meetings. And I joined his team. And at that point, I think he had the #1 team in Keller Williams in New Jersey, whatever. I'm not sure about the stats, right? But we were doing it. He was doing a tremendous amount of business. And that's when I started getting around the people that I know helped me become successful, because I hit a point personally where I think it was honestly ego driven, that I wasn't listening, right? I knew better. I knew that I could sell. I knew that I could do this, but I had no idea how the mechanics work on how to get business, find business, and close business in real estate. So I had a point where I said, all right, I'm going to become 100% coachable, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to do what these guys are doing. They're successful, and I'm going to stop thinking I know it all. In a short few months, my life and my business completely transformed, changed everything. Started having regular closings, doing deals on a regular basis, getting my own clients, prospecting every day. And then I started speaking at the Keller Williams offices. I became an ALC member. I was operating the office's culture committee, and things kind of grew really fast from there. That brought me around who we're with now, with Brett, like the power of proximity, right? You talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, you start seeing people who are kind of like, you know, maybe knuckleheads like I was, but you find the way forward, and you open your mind to being coached and listening. And that path is there if you decide to take it, if you decide to kind of follow the model that's set in front of you, and realize that if you listen and take advice and be coachable, you can make these steps forward. You just have to put the work in.
So, you know what, Chris? I commend you on everything you've done and what you had to go through. Couple of quick questions though.
Sure.
So you transitioned from being the restaurant owner, the chef, into being a real estate agent. How long did it take you to go from getting your license to getting out of that business? I mean, from start to finish, was it a month? Was it a year? Was it 5 years? What was your transition like? Because a lot of people are in a transition situation such as this.
So that's a tricky question, right? Because it's a hard transition when you realize you kind of got to reach for that ledge and just jump at some point, and financially it's not easy because you need to be prepared for that. So I took probably about 8 months to be done with my restaurant business. The second restaurant was harder to sell than the first. I finally got a deal on it, and I was like, all right, this is it. Like, do I wait tables in the meantime? Do I take a part-time job as a sous chef, like to get some extra money? And I remember speaking to Dave, and really that transition makes or breaks you, because now you have the pressure on. If you decide to kind of cut the cord and go all in, you've burned the boats. You now have no retreat.
Wow.
And that's where, honestly, for me personally, it may not be for everybody, but that's where I'm kind of most comfortable. I thrive more there. And that's what I did. I said, all right. I remember locking the door at the restaurant the last day, giving the keys. And I said, this is it. I'm not going back here. I'm going forward in this business. But now what? I have no clients. I have no business. I'm waking up tomorrow with no job, but just an idea on how to go forward. What do I do? So overall, to answer your question, it probably took 6 to 8 months. I don't remember exactly. And then it took another 12 months to actually get some traction. Maybe more like 16 months.
How was the difficulty of walking away from the people that you worked with?
It was hard for
That is hard.
It was hard walking away from the people. I do not, and I thought I would, I do not miss that industry for a moment. I rarely cook at home now. And that shocked me. Like, somebody asked me that a year or two later, and I didn't even give it a thought. But I have no emotion about wanting to go back. I love the adrenaline. I love the kitchen and a busy dinner rush. I love the kind of the chaos behind it, the yelling and the energy. But I get that here when I'm making a deal or negotiating a contract. Or yesterday, I made a deal that I was working on for weeks, and finally it got accepted. Like, I get that same rush here now, and I get to go home at dinner time. I may go back to work afterwards, but I get to see my kids. I get to see my wife. I get to go away a couple days here and there with the family or with my wife. And, it's a much more, it's a better lifestyle for me and the people that are around me, close to me.
Yes, because I know what it's like to walk away from that feeling of the people.
Yeah.
And that was like, for me, I walked away from a real estate brokerage almost 7 years ago, and the feeling was, it was tough.
It's tough.
And in this business, you don't tell people what's going on. And for me, the next day I think I had like 60 some agents, and the next day I had 60 some enemies. So I mean, it's just the way it worked. I mean, of course, a lot of the people, we got back as friends again, but it's tough. So, and then the next day you wake up, you don't have a job.
I have a job. I don't have an income. I have nothing but, essentially hope. And
Exactly.
that's a tough spot to be, not necessarily for me, but when you're looking at 3 kids and a wife, and it's like, all right, like I don't have answers right now. I have a process to follow, and I'm sure it's going to work, but to pass that confidence on is not a simple thing.
And then you said, fuck it, all steam ahead, all full steam ahead. I got to be coachable. I've got to make sure I get this done. You and I work with a lot of different type of agents.
Yeah.
Tell me about that transition of going from, I'm going to say it, the fumbling agent
Yeah.
to saying, shit, I know what I got to do now. And I can't let anything get in my way. I mean, you couldn't even let family get in the way.
That was the thing, because I was having discussions with my wife, and she was like, look, just go get a job. And I can specifically remember the night where I was sitting in my house in front of my bookshelf looking at books that I wanted to read. And I can remember saying, like, no, I'm not gonna fucking listen to anybody. I know this can work. And I just kind of had to drown it all out. And there was a lot of angst with that, because it wasn't simple.
No, it's not.
The decision seemed simple to me, but it still left a lot of guesswork out there. And I just went and I pushed, and I said, all right, it's not everybody else. It's got to be me. I got to change something. I have to shut the fuck up and listen and do what these guys are doing, and hop on the phone and call people and get comfortable being uncomfortable with stuff. I know I have, I don't know if you want to call it hospitality or client service, customer service skills, so I have to learn a way to leverage that into this business and get my clients and, help them achieve. If I can help other people achieve their dreams, mine get to come true.
Really great point. So you became coachable. You started doing business. What was when you started doing the prospecting calls? What I say to people, and you've heard me say this to the agents in our boot camps. I mean, you get that feeling, right in here of the fear, the trepidation, the anxiety, that whole shit. But you had to say no to that fear. How did you do that? Did you just say, screw it, I got to do this. Nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah, essentially, that's exactly what I did. I just decided. I said, there's one way forward, and I will listen to nothing else.
Okay, so fast forward a couple more years, you're doing business to now, right? We work with agents, and we try to get this point, the points that you've made over the past 10 minutes is what we try to get across to the people we work with about what's required. I know that your switch went off when you said, I got no choice, I got to do this, and this is what I choose.
Yeah.
You made a decision. Everybody understand what the word decide means. It means kill off every other option. Decide, right? Okay. So you unlocked your potential by being open to coaching, and you moved forward and did good, did well, right? So what do you see today in the real estate industry with agents and what they need or how they need it so they can be helped?
In my opinion, everything can be taught to you, but you have to decide to be open to listening and following protocol and being coachable and keeping your mind, in that old abundance mindset that people say. Because even right now, I talk to agents all the time, and it's, oh, the market sucks. There's no deals. Transactions are down. There's no sellers. If that's how you're approaching it, and that's how you're looking at it, that's how you're going to experience it.
So how do you look at it?
No, there's business. There's plenty of business out there. You got to understand that all the time. I don't care what market it is, buyers, sellers market, the market's crashing. People need to buy and sell their home. People need to move. and you got to find them, and they're there. You have to understand that they're out there. I mean, look, closings happen every single day. I mean, just in our team, we're doing, at least probably a closing every day, or damn close
Easy.
to that. Yeah,
Right.
easy. So, and we're a huge team. We're the most powerful team around, but so many other people are doing business as well. So you have to have that abundance mindset that, look, the business is there. I just got to find it.
So
So
what's that? But you have the abundance mindset, yeah, and that's all well and good and everything and what we say. But you've got these agents out there that really want to make money. They really want to do it, but they're stuck with what they've seen and what they think. And you've heard me also say this is when real estate agent gets their license, all of a sudden they turn into this jerk. They turn into this person that sounds salesy.
yeah,
What's the difference? Where does it change? Where does it work for those that are going to be successful?
this is a relationship business. We're in sales, but it's probably the most relationship based sales job there is. And a lot of times I think you have to grow that confidence with that person on the other side or your client, because it could take a year of you working with somebody. I mean, more than that in some instances for me to actually make a transaction happen. And they have to be confident calling you with every little question, and you have to be there and answer. You have to meet them where they are. So this is not taking somebody to see a house and trying to sell them the house. I did that. It's a disaster. You're not going to talk somebody into liking a house that they just don't like. There's a
No.
certain thing that happens when you walk into a house with a husband and wife or a family or whatever they are, and they like it. This is the house for them. You can't sell somebody a house if they don't like it. In my opinion,
Oh
you got
no,
you got to keep your balance.
absolutely. Nobody can sell a house. You can sell a car.
Yeah,
Absolutely, you can sell a car. Absolutely, I could sell you this pen,
yeah,
right? But you can't sell a house because it's where people are going to live,
right.
right?
It's a
I
different
had
thing.
I remember years ago I had this agent, and she would do, you know, she'd do 20, 30 accepted deals a year, but only 10 would close
Shit.
because she sold. She always sold, and that was the problem, right? Um, so one of the things that I've seen from you is that, and you've just proved it by saying that growth truly doesn't happen randomly. How do you take control of your growth aside from making the calls every day? Is there a process that you have to take once you get into that lead generation process?
Well, look, my personal process is keeping the drunk monkey quiet. That's my biggest challenge almost daily. I don't want to do half the shit that I do every day, but you have to do it. And I'm at a spot in my career where I'm not banging out 2 hours of cold calls every day. I have a sphere, I have past clients, I work the shit out of them, and I get I get new business a lot through the team and referrals. So I work those avenues every day to the top degree.
Talk
Who
to
do
me
I
about
need?
talk to me about the drunk monkey. Explain that to people that may not have heard that phrase.
That's a little guy in your head that's saying, "Oh, you don't have to do this today. You don't have to do that today, or you're not good enough to do this, or whatever that voice in your mind that fights whatever you do." And I know we all have it. Some people give a representation of what their experiences is. It's different than mine, but I have a voice that'll tell me, "Oh, you did 3 deals last week." Like I'm close to doing 4 million in sales this week, and I'm waiting for one more accepted offer. I have a voice in my head that's saying, "Take my foot off the gas. You're good. You crushed it this week." And I know, and I've fallen into this trap before. Complacency can set in for me, so I fight that every day. Like I will not take my foot off the gas at all anymore. Now I know I have momentum, and I'm gonna leverage that and capitalize on it. I've been in spots before where I've had a bunch of closings and I'm like, oh, all this money came in. Cool. Now I could relax. I could take 2, 3 weeks off down the shore with my family and not worry about it. But you set yourself back, 3, 4 months when you do things like that. Take your vacations and enjoy that, but don't be complacent and don't let that voice in your head say we're good. You know, that's my experience.
I want to further the description and definition of the drunk monkey. That's the guy that also wakes you up in the middle of the night and makes your head start spinning about what you need to do and what you didn't do. That's the drunk monkey.
Happened
For
to me last
everybody.
night. I was up from 2 to 4 a.m. last night. I woke up at 2. I couldn't fall back asleep till like 4:30. And I'm having a great week, and that guy's there. It doesn't matter what the conditions are.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've read this book called Quiet Mind, Epic Life.
Yes,
Uh,
it's incredible.
by Matthew Ferry. I just finished it for the second time. It is a great book. I mean, I may have even talked about it last week's broadcast, but I want everybody to understand that and I'm just putting it up on the screen there really quickly. It's a great book because The Drunk Monkey is something that's gonna really stop you. I've had agents tell me after they had a couple of closings, you know what, I did really well. I'm doing good. I'm gonna take it easy for a while. And then 3 weeks later, they say, I've got no money coming in. What the hell am I supposed to do? See, here's the thing. You used the word momentum a minute ago. That word momentum has everything to do with everything you're fucking doing. You have to understand that these calls that you make are not just Monday. They're not just Monday, Tuesday, right? You know what you're doing. And you said it before. It might be not be the stuff that you love doing, but it's stuff that you have to do every day. There's people that will say I've had two people on here. One is Brian Danny, who calls it repetitious boredom. It's not what you're doing is actually boring. It's the thought of doing the same thing every day is boring. And a lot of people are getting in this business because they want to sell homes. They want to show the homes. They want to walk through the home. They want the glamour shot. Well, a lot of glamour shot is bullshit. It's there if you do what Chris is doing by pushing and pushing and pushing. So you've talked about
Discipline equals freedom, right? I learned that. I think one of the Ferry brothers said that, but I learned that early, and that's the truth.
Discipline equals freedom. I'm going to tell you where that was said on this broadcast by Dylan Nanaka 2 weeks ago from the great state of Hawaii. He has it in the back when we did the broadcast, and that's where I have it, and I write it down every day. I write the word freedom every day.
Yeah.
I have my own rituals. I do a lot of journaling. Freedom's a word I write every day, and it's really important. So, Chris, you talked about having a great week or a great week last week, but you also have shitty weeks. Talk to me about those 3 deals you may have lost once recently.
You were in the office when the day it happened, and you were coaching the boot camp, and this was going on while you were coaching, and I chimed into them because I want them to understand that this happens, and even especially lately in this market, I find it a little more happens a little more often. I lost 3 deals in one day, and if you did the math, it was probably somewhere around 40K in commissions, and those are big hits to take, and they can take you out of the game easily mentally, especially,
Yep.
Thankfully they weren't my only 3 deals, but if there are your only 3 deals, or I remember when I was new, I had 1 deal that died the day before closing, and it was only a $200,000 property. It crushed me, because that was my check that I hadn't earned in months, and these are things that you deal with in this industry. And look, you get a few minutes to kind of be pissed off, right? Like you could take that, but you have to decide, like, all right, it's over. Like, what am I going to do here? Am I going to sit here and be upset about it, or am I going to get them back under contract? And that's what I did. Within that was 3 weeks ago. In the last 2 weeks, I have them all back on track, and we're closing on these properties. We're under contract again. I think we're close to getting all the continuing away.
That's where the momentum comes in, because it's like you've continually done something. You continually, you pound your past clients, etc. Where you're doing value-based process of helping and communicating and talking to people and building that relationship. We want to talk about sales. I will say, even though I don't mean it the way it's going to sound, is we sell ourselves through relationships. Well, if you want to take out the word sell ourselves, those 2 words, and say just build relationships, that's where the sales comes in. There's also, for everybody out there listening, is the sales also comes in when you're about to do a deal and they told you that everything in this house is what they wanted, but they want to keep looking. That's where the sales part comes in, where you just need to remind them. And that's how you built the relationship. One of the things you've said is that there's opportunity everywhere, right? And you said it also earlier about there's deals being made. So newer agents, stuck agents, and agents getting back into the business, or agents contemplating leaving the business, are saying, Chris, you're full of shit. There's not deals anywhere. I can't get a house. I got a customer that lost 13 houses. Hey, look, Chris, my own personal thing, my daughter lost 5. So, I mean, where's the opportunity?
Look, I'm showing a house at 4:00 this afternoon that these guys, we basically lose an offer a week. And this has been going on for 6 or 8 weeks. This is a young couple about to get married. This is their dream. They're getting married in July. They're going to Greece for a month. They want to come home to their new house. We find them the opportunity. That's our job, right? I find them new houses. They expand their search. You discuss with them what's going to give them an advantage in the offer, and you create these opportunities. Like that is, you got to keep them in the game so they don't get discouraged, and that's our job. And the opportunities are there. I mean, go on the MLS. Yeah, is there less inventory? Sure, there is. If there's nothing for a client that you have right now that's there, call the areas that he's looking for and find somebody willing to sell. They're there too. We do it all the time. I'll have a client saying, I want to live in Wyckoff, and this is my price range. Oh, there's nothing for sale. That's not the answer. The answer is find the one that's for sale. Find the person that'll consider an offer. It's there. I promise. And if you're looking at it from the aspect of lack, like, oh, there's nothing there for my client, we can't find him a home. That's yourself talking yourself. That's yourself talking yourself and your clients out of a deal. Look harder.
100%. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the agents that are really doing well, including yourself, I think the last place they're looking for homes for sale for their clients is the MLS.
Lately, yeah.
That's the last place we're looking, right? I mean, for me, I know that I'll be doing something soon, and that's the last place I'm looking. Yeah. I'm talking to all my contacts, all my people. If I want something in a certain area, I'm going to call that area myself, right? But this is what you do, and this is how you're able to build a business. So, Chris, as time goes on, you've helped a lot of people. You came over, changed companies, started your own team. Talk to me about the development, your personal development through that, and how it made you better.
So when COVID kind of first hit, the team I was on kind of dissolved, and I found myself as a solo agent, which was fine. I was doing business, but I'm a builder and I like to build stuff. So I built my own team, and we had admin staff, very small. It was a very small team. We were doing good. We had good energy, and we couldn't hit the heights and the levels that I wanted. I was really looking and meditating and asking for a way forward. So I built my team. We had some stuff in place, and then I talked to Brett. And actually, Brett called me, and we had a discussion about merging with Align. And I met him. I was hesitant, and then I kind of realized, like, look, you were just asking the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, for a way forward, and this showed up in your life. So we made a situation that was great for everybody, I think. And I think Brett agrees. And I merged with Align, and now I'm with a group of killers that just push me to want to be better. There's energy at the office. We're all making deals, hunting for business, and that's how I love it. I feed off of that.
So there's two things I want to talk about there, and this is, like I said, this is not about Align. This is not about EXP. Whoever you want to make it that way, that's fine. But there's two things here. There's this synergy of a collective effort, which you've talked about, the power of collaboration. I believe in, right? So we believe in collaboration over competition, and the excitement of a dual thing going on. One is coming to the office, working with people side by side, number one. And number two, the power of a team having the right systems, the right processes in place. When we talk about teams, and when I talk about teams, I always look back and say, well, this is what the brokerage should be. And the company we're with allows us to have our own brokerage within the brokerage. And most brokerages will, but the structure is not there. People don't understand systems and processes. And when you have to do it yourself, you're building your own business. Talk to me about why the team Well, I'm going to say, is the team better than the old style brokerage of today and yesterday?
Oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
driving. We're driving.
Talk-
We're driving a Bentley right now. We're driving a Bentley down all over New Jersey. I mean, the support and the admin, the culture and the community that we have here is. I've been at four brokerages. It's not even close.
Yeah.
It's
And
not even close. We're in a different. We're playing in a different league.
yeah, and I'm not going to put down any other brokerages. I just know that the brokerage of before this time, I think that system is broken because it was all built on numbers. Um, with the right people on the right team, which is what we're able to do, and what's valuable for us to do that is that we're able to walk in and it's not that bullshit of what you do this weekend or what's the latest song on the radio. Although that's nice gossip and nice things to talk about, it's people working. People aren't. It's not the water cooler. And then that brings me to the collective effort of collaboration. Talk to me about what's important about that for you.
So personally, for me, I thrive with collaboration and energy and culture. That pushes me forward. I mean, I can remember sitting in this office that I'm in right now with nobody in it, and I don't do great there. I don't have the energy. I don't have somebody pushing me. I don't have somebody saying great job or me getting to help a newer agent. Hey, say this, try that, go this route with this, or call this client with this value. That is the stuff that I love, and it pushes me. Like the more I can give, the more I receive, and to be around people that are like-minded like that, and a lot of people that are like-minded like that. We have an online community that is just bustling all the time with people out there trying to make business. To me, it's priceless because it gives me the energy to really close, go out and close and have every other aspect of the business leveraged out. So I have no responsibility other than making deals. I don't have to oversee anything. I don't have to do paperwork. I don't have to worry about leads. This is all in our community. It's all here for us.
And I want to add something to that is like everybody, people talk about they want to get into business, they want to sell houses. And I said this before, they want that glamour shot, right? So how do you get the glamour shot? When you're able to leverage systems and processes in the brokerage or the team you're on to do it. And that's why people don't know that they should join a team, but they do. I'm all for it, was against it for a while, and I'm all for it now simply because I see how the synergy of the effort works and the collaborative effect works. And I'm working with a bunch of badasses, man. I mean, people show up,
Agents, agents look at teams the complete opposite way they should, for what they have to give, not what they get, and how you could grow a business with a team. I started my business on a team, and I was given a hefty portion of my commission checks to that team, and I would never look back on it because it gave me the foundation of how to operate in this business. It set me up for when I was a solo agent. It set me up for my team when I was running my team. And now that I've learned that I can leverage even everything on my team that I had out, I'm in a spot where I am able to just do what I do best, and that's close deals. I don't have to worry about anything else.
And that's what you got in the business for, to
Correct.
do that. And most agents do. And I'm going to use a great phrase that I got from next week's guest, Grant Wise. He said, you can't judge a fish by their ability to climb a tree.
Makes a lot of sense.
And think about it. The climbing the tree for the fish means maybe the paperwork. It's maybe the follow-up on the deal. It's maybe all that other stuff that we weren't taught how to do. Well, we weren't taught shit in real estate school anyway. But the point is that we want to go out, we want to list properties, we want to sell properties. Some of us want to help other agents do it as well. So that's it. So, all right. So look, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to our business in 2024, and a lot of crap that's going on. And it's just more and more and more of it where the government's getting involved and all this other crap. Talk to me about, you did a video on this. and how opportunity is there for agents now with all the changes that are going to happen in August. Talking about your feeling on that, and where is the silver lining for everybody?
I'm approaching it from the back seat, I guess. I know I'm going to have to make a few adjustments as far as how I operate with buyers specifically, um, for compliance reasons. But I do also know that this is going to thin the herd, and if you're bringing value, there is zero to worry about. Nothing. You don't have to give this a second thought. We will get paid as buyers agents. We will navigate forward, and there is, because something stops in a traditional way doesn't mean it stops at all. We just have to find a way to operate within the new boundaries. And for me, that's going to be simple, and it's all about communication. If you can prove value to your clients, um, they're going to work with you. It's that simple. I personally do not feel that buyers will have to actually fork out the commissions for the buyer's agents. I think that's going to be worked into the contracts in many different ways, and it will still get paid the traditional way by the seller, although the buyer provides the funds. And you change your pitch a little bit. You change the way you discuss it a little bit with your buyers, just so they're aware. Um, I'm not a discount guy. I don't devalue my compensation based on these things. I give more value and earn it if that's what's required. And I think any of my clients that have been in the past would have been happy to pay if they needed to for my service. So I'm not worried about it. It's going to cause some chaos and some confusion, but we're going to be prepared for it.
So, Chris, you talk about if you're bringing value, and this is this. I tell you what, man. Since this whole thing started, when the ruling came out in October, we've heard the phrase "bring value." We've heard. I mean, shit. I mean, it is like the catchphrase of coaches, of all this crap, and all the people trying to capitalize on the realtor public, real estate agent public. So, what does bringing value mean?
To me, it means keeping in touch, being there to answer questions, providing opportunities for them. If you need to find stuff off market, that's what you do. Don't just set them up on an MLS search, let them sit in your database. Um, and when they're ready to go, so are you. Um, that to me is value. You have to be providing more than the other realtors out there. And I don't care how you get this lead. If it's an internet lead, if it's a personal referral, if it's a sphere person, if it's a past client, you need to bring value to them. I'm selling. I had a guy who I helped buy his house 18 months ago who has to relocate, called me out of the blue. I had been in touch with him. He's on many different automated programs, but I personally called him every quarter. And he called me last week. He says, I had 5 people give me the names of the realtors. There's no one else I would even think of to help me through this. That's what value is. I created value in a tricky transaction when he bought, navigated it with him, and there was no doubt who he was going to call now that he's got to sell it. And it's a big number. It's a $1.4 million home. And it's something that's what value secures you in this industry. Repeat clients. And when you have a new client, you do the same thing. And I don't care if it's $300,000 or $3 million. They get the same service. They get the same value from me. And I make that relationship and I solidify it. Now, have I dropped the ball with that? Sure. Over the last 7 years, I've done a deal with people and they haven't used me on the second transaction. Whose fault is that? It's mine.
Why does that happen, Chris?
You don't follow up properly. You don't thank them properly. You don't stay in touch. Mostly, honestly, I think it's staying in touch. I think when you have a deal like selling a house with somebody, it's an emotional thing. It's something they always remember when they moved in. Maybe they raised a family, or maybe they're older and they're leaving. They did raise their family in that house. To them, it's more emotional than it is to us. So if you can solidify that relationship and be there for them, and then follow up, ask them how the new place is, or ask them, whatever form that is. If you have that open communication and that rapport in place still after you've done that deal, they remember you.
So, a couple times we've talked about mindset, and we talked about bringing value, and it's a bring value mindset. And you needed to actually change your mindset 100% in order to start having that successful career and keep going. Is there is there a way you can tell someone that has the mindset of, well, I made some calls today. I made some calls yesterday and today, I just didn't feel like it. I wanted to take a me day. That's a bullshit mindset, by the way. If you're going to do this business and you want it to be your career, you got to work every day. I'm sorry, you do. So how do you change the mindset I described to the first one to the second one I described? Is there a way to do it?
So, I mean, a couple ways people have explained to me. One that works for me is, every night take an inventory of your day and look in the mirror and really look in your eyes and say, did I work as hard as I could have today? Did I really hunt today? Did I do what I needed to do today? And I'm not here on this broadcast saying that I could do that every single day, because there's days I look in the mirror and say, you slacked today, man. And we all do it. I don't care who you are, but be honest with yourself about that. That's something that's tricky, because you have to remember every day to be grateful and be happy for what you have. But today's another day. We wake up unemployed every day.
That's right.
So we need to go out there and say, all right, man, like, what am I going to do today to either make a contact, make a number of contacts, make a deal, solidify something, negotiate through these inspections, whatever it is that have to get done. The first thing you have to do is do outbound lead generation.
How do you get through the fear? How do you get through the trepidation? How do you get through the feeling that I just don't want to do this? This sucks. I don't. I mean, you. How do you get through that? I mean, is there a switch? Is it just to start? Just start.
For me, I had a clear thought one day that what the fuck am I going to lose? How could I lose if I do this? Somebody told me, you do this for 6 months straight, it'll change your business. I said, I have no business right now. What am I going to lose if I say exactly what these guys are saying and let the computer dial for me? And it changed everything. And you get comfortable. It's uncomfortable in the beginning, making these calls, getting hung up on, getting told to fuck off, whatever the results on the other side of the phone are. You have to detach yourself from that. If you do it all week and every single person tells you to fuck off, and you get one client, and you do that every week, if you can start building that database and you're making one deal a week, you're in great shape if you can muscle through it mentally.
Look, I believe agents should be getting a paycheck every week, and the only way to do this is do a deal a week. And I want everybody to know something about Chris. I mean, when Chris came over to Align, we actually came over at a similar time. I'm running boot camps, and one of the things we do with all agents joining the team is they've got to go to this boot camp. Chris is the top agent. Chris was at the boot camp every day, and we did it for 2 weeks and another week, so 3 weeks. Chris was there every day. So were a lot of agents that were not up to where Chris is, but close. I mean, we're talking top agents. Like in New Jersey, that would be a silver, gold, platinum.
Right.
But they came because it's what the team does. You grow together.
You gotta go, man. You gotta show up. You can't lead. You gotta be an example. I'm never, that's what I learned early in this business. If I think I don't have anything to learn from you or anybody else, I'm the jackass. Even if I know 80% of the shit you're teaching, there's gonna be something.
Right. And honestly, for a guy like me with Chris Tarta in the room, I mean, I'm a little intimidated because I've got top agents I'm working with and putting all into what I do to help them grow their business. And everyone there had the right mindset, and that's what it is. Chris, most important question. You're a stuck agent. You're considering getting out of this business, or you want to stay, but you just don't see how you're going to be able to make it, or you're a new agent. What's the 1, 2, or 3 things they should do right now today?
You have to, the top thing in my advice is get your mind right about how you have to approach this business. Get all your preconceived notions out of your head. If you're watching Bravo, if you're watching these shows, Sarah Hant, whatever, that's not what happens in the first couple of years. God God willing, you get to those levels. Understand that you have to hunt and you have to find the business. Go and shake hands. Talk to everybody you see. I go to pick my kids up. Everybody gets a hello. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I go to an open house. I meet everybody. I meet the neighbors. Whatever it is, get the preconceived notions out of your head and start from scratch and become coachable. If you want to leave this business, give it your last shot. Say, all right, I'm going to shut the fuck up for 30 days and do what I'm told to do. And if nothing happens, you're either uncoachable and don't want to adjust, or it is not. So make that decision. That's how I see it, basically. But it all starts with the decision that it is for you and you're going to make, and maybe you don't know how. That's okay. If you make that decision, you'll figure it out.
I'm going to add one thing, Chris. I'm going to add one thing to that. And that is hang around with the right people. Be involved with the right people. Don't do it by yourself.
That's everything. You're not gonna become successful sitting in your room making phone calls and sending emails. I've told a million people this. Get around, get in a room with energy and with people who are doing deals, and actually just shut up and listen.
Right. And you look, you want to be a solo agent on a team. I get it. It's fine. But there are teams or places you can go where you can just go sit and work and, you know, have a collaborative effect still. Right. That's really important because, I mean, there is that saying out there, and I 100% believe it. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Right. And now I hang out with Chris Tarta. I hang out with Brett Sikora. I am so lucky. Chris, I got 2 things. The first thing is the most important thing, the question that I'm going to ask you ever. How can I help you grow your business?
Continue doing what you do. I just listen. I love it. That's what it is. I get exposure to you, and every day that you're here, I hear you say something that I say, all right, I'm going to implement this. And that's it. You just got to continue, and I'll listen.
Awesome. Thank you. And I will do that. And last but not least, Chris, I know you see everybody come on this broadcast, get a hat. The good thing about this one is I don't have to mail it to you. I'm going to give it to you personally when I get back from
wait 3 weeks, man.
I got 2 more to go. So, you know, it's tough. Anyway, guys, next week, we will have the one, the only Grant Wise coming on. Grant Wise is years ago when I first met Grant, he was the #1 and still is the #1 coach for marketing through Facebook. But Grant is now the founder of Meta Movers and just doing some great work of helping agents, coaching one-on-one group, just doing great stuff. And Grant is a personal friend of mine and has been my coach on and off for a very long time. And he will help me celebrate 6 years, 312 weeks in a row next week. And that will also be coming to you from a different location, not Paris this time, but Italy. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Chris, thank you so much. Stay on for a minute as we finish, and see you next week, everybody.
Thanks for having me, Dave.
You're welcome.